Hello world and YouTube people. It is your favorite MILF Silver Stacker, Erin Moffat. And I am here again sharing my life story with all of you. And I am allowing the world to convey their agreement or lack thereof with my story and anything I have to say. Not that I'm getting a lot of people to convey much yet, but I think it'll come around pretty soon. Somebody's got to disagree at some point, right? So as I've stated before, I'm a very irresponsible person, and I'm working on becoming more responsible. And you're like, how are you doing that? Do I care? Well, you should care because this affects us all, because your debt is not your fault. And you should know why that is. And you should first hear how irresponsible I have been in my life. I have accrued debt for years, probably starting when I was about 19 years old with credit cards, lots of credit cards. And then I'd pay them off and everything would be good for a while, but then I would get in a mess all over again and nothing really changed. And I accrued debt year after year after year. I always owned new cars. You know, I didn't even understand money. I was believing the American dream that you can do anything you want. You can get loans for anything and you'll pay it back later when you have that great job after you get all those student loans and you go work your job, and then it's all going to be fine in the end because you're going to have an awesome retirement probably set up and money's just going to come. So I spent it like it was just going to come. However, I was accruing massive amounts of debt. I now owe about $173,000 in debt, and that's only 14 items of debt, and it equals that amount. So that tells you I have some huge money problems because I am irresponsible, and I was taught to be irresponsible. It wasn't all my fault either. So if you look back in the 1950s to early 60s, a single parent in the house, not a single parent, but a married family, but one person in that family could go to work and raise the whole family and be able to eat, okay? But into the 60s and the 70s, that changed because both parents had to go to work. We had things like war and, lots of government spending, and the government is printing more money, and we're starting to have inflation quite a bit. I mean, we have had, but we're starting to see it more. So two people have to go to work. Come to the late 80s and 90s, now we're dipping into our savings. Both parents are at work. We've got nothing, no savings. Come to now, and 2000s up to now, we're in massive debt. And we've been led there. We've been led there by the way we were taught in our schools, by our parents, by the government, and the American dream, right? So basically the American dream turned into the American nightmare, and that's where we all are. And you're saying, well, I love that it's not my fault. And if it's not my fault, how do I get out of it? Well, there's a lot of financial institutions, a lot of, financial peace, a lot of things that can teach you how to do that well. Don't go to a financial advisor that's against gold and silver. They do that because it doesn't make them any money. So basically, another thing I've noticed is the jokes about millennials. Okay, we're seeing the results of being brought up to make sure our kids are perfectly happy all the time. We don't want them to have boundaries. We don't want them to know any issues in their life. So we make everything easy for them. We protect them in our bubbles, and we don't teach them the difficulties of life.
Here, Mama.
Kids. Thank you. So now what we are seeing is these people that are not challenged. They're not challenged to do anything. They're not motivated to or encouraged to do something awesome. They're like, I'm just going to sit around and collect debt and hope that it just gets paid for. Obviously, I'm one of these people. Even though I'm a little older than the millennial, I grew up halfway in this mess of that. I mean, I worked really hard, worked super hard, but I accrued so much debt that I started to sit here and go, why did I think that I was just going to somehow be saved with money in the future? Someone was just going to come along and pay off my debt, or I just really didn't have to pay it. I have to pay it, and I'm working on that. So it's coming off, and gold and silver is one of the biggest reasons I have even learned the truth about money. If I hadn't have joined 7K Metals and gotten the education I've received, especially from people like Mike Maloney on YouTube, I wouldn't even be working on this, and I'd still be accruing debt, most likely. So where am I going from here? What I do think is that even though we have a lot of millennials and people doing kind of some of the things they're doing, we see a lot of entrepreneurship coming out where everybody wants to do that, right? And they want to make money from home. And while a lot of them still want it to be easy, I think it's just showing that more and more people are becoming, they're becoming wise to the con of the U.S. government. They're like, I want to do something different than go get a job and go to college, because I can see it didn't help my parents because they got nothing, like especially mine, no retirement, and their Social Security is baloney, right? So, because our government doesn't have enough money to pay Social Security. So we're saying we don't want to go to a job and wait for 40 years to retire and not have any money. So we're going to do entrepreneur stuff. And so it looks goofy to people all the time because I think it's just a bunch of irresponsible kids trying to do something easy. It's not easy. Network marketing is not easy. It's work. Imagine that, right? So you still have to work. In fact, you have more than a 9-hour day. I was thinking the other day, I don't get to clock out. I don't have to wake up and punch in, but I don't clock out at night. Like, I'm working all the time. So basically, if you want to see the truth about money, if you want to learn the truth about debt, and you want to admit, hey, it's not all my fault, but take blame where you need to, you will find real financial freedom. That is what we need to do. So we need to educate. We need to educate ourselves. We need to educate others. And you need to remember, it isn't all your fault. And it's okay that it isn't all somebody's fault. We don't just have to assume they got to figure it out and make life happen for the better just because it isn't all their fault. We have to help people realize and open their eyes, get real financial freedom. Life is good. So ignorance is only ignorance until you're given the truth. And if you get the truth and you're unwilling to believe it or see it, you're now blind. If you choose to ignore it, you're blind. So if you were once ignorant because you didn't know, now you know. Don't be blind. Change your ways. I challenge you to learn the truth. Don't listen to me. Listen to Mike Maloney. Talk to people you know. But the government itself has these things out in the open for anyone to get to if they want to learn how money is really made, what currency really is, and how the government doesn't want you to own gold and silver because it's private and it's money and they can't reprint it. So I challenge you to learn the truth, believe it, live in it, find freedom in this world, turn your now American nightmare back into the American dream. Have a great day.